Greetings to all of you. It's good to see you again. Namaste. The sacred in me bows to the sacred in you. And I encourage us all to namaste to each other. So I'd like to begin by inviting us, as we do each week, to take a minute to become as fully present as we can to this experience that we're sharing together. And I ask us again to begin by becoming aware of your heart. Feel it beating and pumping life throughout your body and your spirit. And now, keeping awareness of your heart, feel yourself breathing into and out of your heart. Inhale into your heart, exhale from your heart. And now, maintaining awareness of your breathing into your heart. Become aware of someone or something you're deeply grateful for, or you feel deep compassion for. Allow yourself to really feel that gratitude or that compassion. And with each in-breath, take that gratitude or compassion into your heart. And as you exhale, breathe gratitude and compassion to the world. And as you continue to breathe into and out of your heart, feeling that gratitude or that compassion, feel the depth of your commitment to giving your gifts in service to others. Feel how deeply you feel called to give your gifts in service to others. And feel the aliveness, be aware of the aliveness you feel when you are giving of yourself in service. And continuing to breathe in this way, see yourself contributing to the healing of a world in crisis. And know, really know and trust that the state of your consciousness and the depth of your commitment do make a difference. And know, really know that you're capable of shining a light that joins together with many other lights in piercing the darkness and illuminating vision of a healthy humanity and a thriving planet. See your light joining with so many other rays of light, creating a brilliant beacon of hope and healing and vision. Continue to see that light as you're aware of your gratitude, your compassion, and maintain some awareness of breathing in and out of your heart throughout our session. And now, as we've done each week, I suggest that in your mind's eye, you see a circle of us. See us all in a circle rather than little pictures on a screen there. See us in a circle, sitting together, sharing this course experience with hearts and minds open, all present and passionate about coming alive as we grow into the fullness of the next chapter that's calling us, that awaits us. And now, Let's light our candles, inviting the divine light of wisdom to touch our minds and hearts during this time together. Now, I would invite us, as we've done the last couple of weeks, to all have an opportunity to share something with the entire group as we move into our work for today. And what I would encourage us to do is to share in one sentence or two if it's absolutely necessary, in addition to your health, what are you deeply grateful for at this time? Right now, this day, this week, in addition to your health, what is something that you are deeply grateful for? Let's take a minute to reflect on that, then we'll get going. And I'll begin by sharing that I am deeply grateful for this opportunity to be sharing this course with each of you. I've had few opportunities this year to do my work, the work of my calling, and I'll tell you, it means a lot to me to be able to share this with you and to have you be there and participating and being really present. So thank you. Chris, I'll begin with you. And I know that your health is something you're very grateful for, but in addition to that, anything else?
So two things. I feel joy for the spontaneity of friends who bring homemade soup during my illness. I have gratitude for you in this course, Ron, especially modern technology that allowed me to see the recordings and to rewatch them more than once. And that has been a joy to me. So thank you for your service to us, Ron.
Thank you, Chris. Roger.
I'm just feeling very thankful for having a house to live in and having enough food, being part of this beautiful planet right now.
Thank you, Roger. Evan.
Hi, everyone. I'm grateful for my home and my relationships.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
Friendships, just the people in my life that are there for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Jeannie.
I am grateful for my grandson, for the opportunity for open and honest communication, and for the beauty of nature in the changing seasons right now.
Thank you, Jeannie. Brenda. Can't hear you, Brenda.
There we go. There. Okay. I'm really grateful for my daughter and for my ability to support others. Yeah. To support other people.
Thank you, Brenda. Rick.
I am grateful for a really warm and loving and supportive family right now.
Thank you, Rick. And Jan.
Hi, everybody. Ron, I am very grateful to you and to Cindy for helping us with this course, and to all of our participants and who have just been so open and insightful in sharing during this course. I'm feeling much more direction now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Patrick.
I am deeply grateful for all of my wonderful friends and family, and also for some exciting opportunities that have arisen recently.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you, Patrick.
Of course. Thank you.
Janine.
I'm grateful for just being able to be present on the island of Hawaii, and that, I was able to graduate with my degree and be able to be there and supportive of people, especially in this time when people really need people. And being a part of this group, and just going forward, I have some real hopeful expectations of where our world is going now.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Somehow lost your picture, Janine.
Oh,
I hear your voice. I don't see your face right now. Nancy.
there. Okay.
There you are. There you are. Nancy.
I am feeling grateful for this workshop and for the opportunity to realize that, in spite of all the craziness going on in the world, that we're all experiencing, this can be an opportunity for transition and change.
Thank you, Nancy. Deborah.
First, I'm grateful to be living in the beautiful state of Maine and being in proximity to nature. And I'm also kind of a flip of all of this is to have the space without the confines of, without all of the distractions that we normally have, and without having work, that I am finally looking deep within at some very old and challenging hurts that are time to come to the surface and be processed and dealt with. So even though that sounds like pain, it is, but I'm grateful for the space to do that.
Thank you, Deborah. Lori.
Hi. Well, I would say that outside of my family and friends, of course, I'm really grateful for Zoom because without this medium, I would not be in contact with very many people over these last several months. And the opportunity to become involved with this group and other groups through Sage International has been brand new for me, really exciting for me, and I'm really happy to be involved with them. Oh, and by the way, Zoom is offering over Thanksgiving unlimited time for anybody who, yeah, that's pretty generous of them, I think.
Now, all they need to do is add smell-o-vision so we could smell each other's turkeys, and and Zoom would be perfect. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Ed.
Yeah, hi everyone. Today I'm incredibly grateful for my wife and my kids. Very grateful to be doing this work in this community. This has been really transformative for me.
Thank you, Ed. Steve, your turn.
Yeah, I'm grateful for my health, which is generally good, but deeply grateful for the surgical team that will do a cardiac cath on me tomorrow to take a look at whatever it is going on in my heart. So that's on my mind. But what really came up for me was my grandson, Cashel, who's at about 20 months, showing me time and again what it's like to be engaging the world with unmitigated joy and curiosity about everything. Just, it's such a lesson.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Steve. And I wish you good health and good news tomorrow.
Thank you.
John.
Hi, I've worked on a number of items here. My gratefulnesses, struggled with prioritizing them, but they are thankful for the ideas in this course, extended family and friends, shelter, sustenance, and toilet paper.
Oh, thank you. And Sky, how about you? Can you see everybody now, Sky?
Yes, now I can. So it's great to see all your faces.
Good.
Yes, I'm deeply grateful for my home, which has been quite a sanctuary for me during these months. And also for my 2 cats who have made me laugh every single day during COVID and kept me going in such a deep way during these really hard times. So there's a lot of other things I'm grateful for too, but those every single day I think about and give gratitude for.
Oh, thank you, Sky. I think that's everybody, right? Okay. Got a poem for you, of course. Cindy, if you'd put that up. Do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait patiently there until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands and you recognize it and you greet it. And only then will you know how to give yourself to this world so worthy of rescue.
Beautiful.
Just a reminder, probably tomorrow you're going to get a lot of poetry from me by email.
Good.
Okay. Well, I'd like to start by sharing, probably reiterating something that I and those that I look up to as wise teachers strongly believe. I strongly believe, many of us strongly believe, there's a new stage of human evolution seeking to unfold at this time in human history as old forms break down so that new, more life-sustaining ways can emerge. These are the times that the seers and the visionaries have long predicted, when the energies of the cosmos will work through conscious human beings to help humanity move into a new era that we have long sensed and awaited. And as this is happening, each of us has come into this life with gifts and potentials. And those of us committed to our growth have long been working to recognize and develop these gifts and potentials. And it's vitally important for our own well-being and for the well-being of humanity and our planet that we use those gifts and potentials to the best of our ability. Now, a significant difference between those who grow into the fullness of elderhood, and I'm going to speak a lot about elderhood today because all of us are somewhere in that transition or very near that transition into that life stage called elderhood. But a significant difference between those who grow into the fullness of elderhood and those who grow merely old is a willingness or a lack thereof, to look within to identify the possibilities and the gifts that seek to emerge through us in these precious later years, and who are willing to consciously work toward nurturing the growth and the eventual harvest of these possibilities that's in each of us. True elders live with strong purpose, not buying into the disempowering belief that aging means disengagement from contribution, and aging means merely living for one's own comfort and security. And I think we all know a lot of people who are merely growing old when so much more is possible for them. So today we're going to focus a lot on exploring purpose. Now, I'd like to share with you a quote from a neurologist from Johns Hopkins University named Dr. Majid Fatouhi. And he is renowned for studying brain health and brain science. And this is what Dr. Fatouhi said. Imagine a pill that would improve or reduce cognitive decline like dementia or Alzheimer's by 30 to 40%. And that same pill would reduce macroscopic stroke incidence by as much as 40%, and would improve sleep and decrease sleep apnea, and would increase longevity by at least 7 years. Would you be willing to buy that pill? And how much would you pay for it? Now, most people say, wow, if there's a pill like that, I would certainly figure out a way to pay for it. Well, concludes Dr. Fatouhi, that pill is available right now and it's free. And it is called purpose. And more research is confirming what the world's spiritual traditions have long understood, that our physical and mental and emotional and spiritual well-being absolutely depend upon having a strong sense of purpose. And this is especially true as we age. So what's purpose? Well, purpose is often defined as having a reason for getting up in the morning that's bigger than our own pleasures and comforts. And Richard Leider, Leider, maybe some of you know of him, he wrote the beautiful treatise on purpose called The Power of Purpose. He's kind of known as the guru of purpose. But Richard Leider offers powerful guidance when he says that the foundation for discovering our unique expressions of purpose lies in a deep commitment to having our primary motivation each day be to somehow grow and to somehow give. Because when we talk about purpose, we're talking about two different aspects of purpose. There's that aspect of that gift that's our special gift, something that is our unique expression of our authenticity in a world that needs it. And we're also talking about a more general sense of purpose that has to do with growing and has to do with giving in every sphere of our life. Two different aspects of purpose. And so if we have this general purpose of each day be somehow growing and somehow giving, as our pole star, that kind of opens us up, to finding countless opportunities to grow and to be of service each day. And as we do so each day, we're opening ourselves to more and more awareness of what our unique gifts are, those special gifts that seek expression and can become the primary avenues for living our purpose. So where a lot of people say, well, I just don't know how to find my purpose. I think Leiter's advice is so wonderful. Don't worry that much about what's your unique expression of purpose, and just be concerned about having a goal each day to grow and to give. And in the process, you're going to become aware of your unique expressions, those that bring you most alive, those that can make the biggest difference. Richard Leiter tells a wonderful story I'd like to share briefly with you. Every year, he takes a group of men to Africa, to Tanzania, and they spend a bunch of time sitting in circle with some of the elders of the Hadza people who've lived there forever. And Leiter tells this story about how one day this one elder that he's known for a long time, every time he goes to Africa, he spends time with this elder. And this elder said, Richard, got a question for you. What are the 2 most important days of your life? And Richard says, well, I told the elder, I said, well, that's easy. The day I was born and the day I die. And the elder said, no, you only have it half right. He said, yes, the day you were born. But he said, the second most important day of your life is the day that you learn why you are here, how you fit into the larger picture, what your unique contribution is to the larger world, the larger society. And Richard said that experience is what really set him off on his quest for understanding purpose and for teaching others about purpose. Now, you may be wondering how you can commit to living with purpose or even know your purpose if you're feeling deep in the neutral zone of transition, when there seems to be no clarity about where you're headed or what to aim for. I think that's a very valid question. And I'd like to respond to that. There are 3 dynamics of life transition, as you know: severing from the past, going through the ordeal, the confusion of the neutral zone, and then the emergence of new beginnings. And remember that these 3 dynamics are not strictly linear. Here's this one, and then this one, and then this one. But rather they interweave with each other, with the end result, if one supports the process of transition, being movement from an old sense of self to an experience of somehow entering a new chapter. So, even while you're dealing with all the challenges of the neutral zone in your own personal transition, and we're dealing with all these challenges in this time of collective transition and collective crisis, there will still be times in that when we access that inner voice that knows what wants to emerge through us, when we have a sense of what wants to emerge, and we have that feeling of optimism and hope that a new chapter is indeed coming, even if we don't feel that we're in that new chapter, or maybe don't even feel we're close to that new chapter yet. And remember, we talked about last week that some of the important inner work we can do in the neutral zone is the work of inviting the voice of our guidance to give us the vision, or at least partial visions, that we need to grow into even larger versions of ourselves. So when we're in the midst of major personal transition, and most of us in this group have been in that transition into our elder chapters, seeking a vision for our ideal elderhood is an equally important dynamic. It's so important for living with purpose. And when so many older adults are asked what their ideal elderhood looks like, so many older adults don't know how to respond. And they might talk about taking, a bucket list vacation, or enjoying their grandkids, or finding some volunteer opportunities. But beyond that, there appears to be no vision. They're just taking each day as it comes and finding things to do to fill the hours. But we get what we aim for. And if all we aim for is to fill our hours and enjoy what comforts we can, that's all we'll get as we age. But imagine having, you might call it a bucket list that addresses many more of your needs as a human being than just your pleasures and your comforts. And imagine that thriving in all these different aspects of your humanity brings you truly alive, so that the giving of your gifts in service to others has energy and life force behind it. They fit together. So here are some examples of what can go on your holistic bucket list. You know, those things you can look toward to help you really thrive in the different aspects of your humanity in these years ahead. Imagine having a clear vision of what it can be like if your need for community is well met in your elderhood. And you're taking tangible steps to have that need become a reality. Imagine that. Imagine having a clear vision of how you can fulfill your need to use your gifts in service. Imagine having a clearer vision of how to fulfill your need for emotional and spiritual deepening. Imagine having clear vision of how you can fulfill your need to continually learn new things, and your need for pleasure and excitement, and your need for good health of body, mind, and spirit, and your need for a close, life-giving relationship with the natural world. And your need to give expression to your elderhood through meaningful relationships, perhaps mentoring with younger people. Well, you can begin to develop such a vision by making it a priority. You can give yourself the gift of quiet time and solitude in which you look within to see what images emerge. As you think about each of these dimensions of yourself, dimensions that when fulfilled will contribute to your total wholeness and well-being. Give yourself a time to dream about how you can fulfill all these needs of your total well-being. You're probably already at least somewhat aware of various aspects of this vision, but they just need to be recognized and affirmed and committed to. And with other aspects that you're not clear of, your focused desire for clear vision will help support your gaining increased clarity. And inviting contact with your spiritual guidance through prayer, meditation, other spiritual practices that you resonate with is invaluable in helping you know what's truly coming from your deepest, most authentic inner knowing, versus just what your mental self and your conditioning and your imagination conjure up. So as you gain a sense of those elements of your vision for your ideal elderhood, take time to imagine that they become reality in your life. Don't just have them be, passing thoughts or fantasies or inspirations. Imagine what it'll look like and feel like when they manifest. What will you be feeling as you achieve these goals? Have it be real for you. And this process will help move you beyond having appealing ideas to getting a deeper sense of whether each of these possibilities is one that you should truly aim or choose to aim for. And once you become aware of at least some element of your vision for what wholeness can be like for you, the next step is to put these in written form, perhaps accompanied by photos or artistic images that you keep in a place in your home that you set aside for inspiration and reflection. Because without clear statements of your goals and your commitment to work toward them, they will remain ephemeral fantasies with little chance of manifesting in your life. So with such clarity and commitment, you are intentionally living with purpose. You're growing, you're giving, you're offering the best of yourself to the world. You're supporting the kind of aliveness that's needed if you're going to give yourself the best of yourself to the world. Then I encourage you to develop and periodically update your list of intentions and keep a journal in which you identify and you keep track of tangible steps you're taking and steps you can take toward fulfilling these intentions. And as you experience yourself emerging from transition, and especially a big developmental transition such as the transition into elderhood, it's important to ground your emerging sense of new beginning and new possibility with the power of intention. So I'd like to say a few words about intentionality. Living intentionally is living with a clear sense of purpose and commitment. It's not hoping or wishing or declaring what you would kind of like to do or kind of like to have. And one obstacle to living with such intentionality is the idea I've often heard expressed, maybe you have too, about creating statements of intention. And some people say, well, it seems like adding a big should to my life. What I really want is to reduce the shoulds and instead enjoy each moment. But I believe it takes personal self-awareness, part of the wisdom of elderhood, the wisdom of growth, to find the balance between these two realities that's right for each of us. Because as we age, our elder chapters are indeed a time when our psyche calls us to slow down and savor each moment and develop our inner lives. But at the same time, if we want to grow into our potential fullness as human beings, we need to have meaningful goals and to work toward them. We need to have goals to focus our energy, to give us reasons for choosing to endure the discomfort that accompanies real growth. Goals are what help us move beyond who we are to who we have the potential to become. And so one of my own intentions speaks to this balance, and it is, as I age, I intend to create a lifestyle that balances focused activity and work toward making my intentions become a reality. It balances that with the time I need to just savor and reflect on life's wonders without being goal-oriented. So I have a list of about 10 intentions created over the past few years that guide my journey forward into my elderhood and hopefully into my bringing the best of myself to the world at these times. And I keep these intentions, this list, on an altar I have at home, where I have items like inspirational poetry and photos and objects that are sacred to me. And periodically I look at my intentions and I pay special attention to at least one that seems most alive at any given time. And I think about it and I visualize it and I feel it and I consider steps that I have taken and steps I can take, however small, toward fulfilling that intention. And periodically I look within to see if any of my intentions no longer has life for me. And if so, I delete it. And periodically when I find that a new goal becomes important, I set an intention around this element of my ideal elderhood, of my wholeness, and I add it to my list. So my intentions and yours may not all become reality, but they keep us aiming high and searching for what's possible in our growth. And sometimes a goal that it just feels ever so right, but it seems to our minds totally out of reach. We all know that. But rather than dismissing it, I suggest you try to take a few small steps in that direction and see what it leads to. We all know those inspirational quotes that tell us about the unexpected support that often arises when we become truly committed to something. Well, there's a lot of truth in those. So many people have found these are true. And with some of our intentions, we find we have to change course along the way, but without the original intention and commitment and small steps, we would not have gotten to that point. So acting on our intentions is often a catalyst for recognizing possibilities we cannot initially envision. But be aware there's a strong tendency in most of us, I know there is in me, to try to make a lot of changes at once. I think we all know how that works. It doesn't. And that's why I suggest you prioritize which intention or intentions you will focus on at any given time, while keeping in mind that your other intentions hold strong meaning for you and will need your time and energy at the right time. And one more thing. You hear a lot, you read a lot, you've heard from me about the importance of us giving our gifts in these times of collective crisis, and the importance of elders, especially in giving our gifts. But I want to emphasize that elders are not martyrs. People who are truly giving their gifts are not martyrs. People who become martyrs are not acting with consciousness. When our call to service becomes a big should or an exercise in ego, rather than a balanced outflowing from our whole selves, we run the risk of having this service be compromised by our imbalances and of burning ourselves out physically and emotionally. Imbalanced people produce imbalanced result even when the intentions are noble. And so as I personally recognize my changing needs at this stage in my life, this means that I may quantitatively, accomplish less with my organization, the Center for Conscious Eldering, than I might prefer. There's a voice in me that would have me working 30 hours a day doing this work. I love it. I know it's important. But paradoxically, I believe that what I do accomplish will have a greater impact than would be the case if I pushed myself to do more and wore myself out and burned myself out. Because it's so important for me to align my actions with the power of that essence in me that is wiser than my personality self, that knows what the right balance is for me. Remember, service to others is not defined by how big or visible our actions are. Rather, it's defined by the consciousness and the presence and the love we bring to whatever we feel the need to engage in. And remember that elderhood, like the other chapters of our lives, has its rhythms and its cycles, whether we're younger or older elders. And aging consciously is being aware of those rhythms and honoring them. And remember, at times we'll feel called to giving our gifts through doing, to being really active. At other times we'll feel a call to go within for renewal and deepening. And conscious elderhood and true wholeness is about doing our best to serve others with love in whatever circumstances we're in. I apologize for that. It's about doing our best to serve others with love in whatever circumstances we're in, while also honoring our need to deepen our inner lives and to savor those precious days of life's elder chapters. The key is finding the balance that's right for you, the balance that's right for me. And perhaps finding this balance is the ultimate purpose of our conscious eldering. So I've got a poem for you that I think speaks to some of this. It speaks to that quest to find that sense of purpose that comes from that deep knowing within each of us. It's by a dear friend of mine who wrote this on a Choosing Conscious Elderhood retreat, Bob Calhoun, and it's called Listening for the Voice Not Heard. There's a voice that lies close to the center of who you are. A voice that shares your day of birth saying, here I am. This is who I am, just as I am. And then the many other voices come on board, lining up to protect and shield what lies most deep. Voices grabbing onto what others say. Be this, be that, do this, serve that. And when I sit among the mountain pine, I sit and listen deeply to the wind, the grasses, the woodpeckers peck, listen to the old and new, trees that have weathered many storms, and the young ones leaning to grab sunlight beneath the old one's shadow. When I listen deeply to nature's glory, when I look again with my listening, always something more emerges that is heard, seen, that has been there forever, from long ago, now remembered, saying, here I am, this is who I am, just as I am. So it is with me. I have found it takes deep listening to hear the voice within that needs to speak. The voice not heard over shouts of should and could and must. A voice muffled by protection and fear. The voice that's saying, here I am, this is who I am, just as I am. Make room for the voice that lies deep within, especially now as the autumn of life approaches and the sun sets early in the evening sky and the night air is cool. May there be room again for the voice, and welcome it home. So what I would ask you to do is take some reflection time, about 6 or 7 minutes here. And Cindy is going to put up on your screen, I think, some questions for you to reflect on. And if you got a journal, do a little bit of writing about this. And once you've done this reflecting, then you're going to have a chance to share these reflections with others of this community in triads. Do you have clarity about the purpose that will give your life meaning moving forward into a conscious elderhood? Moving forward into the transformed world that's seeking to emerge. If you have clarity, are you already acting to fulfill that purpose? If you don't have clarity yet about purpose, how does this feel to you? What are you doing or will you do to find purpose? And are you being patient with yourself as you seek clarity? A lot of questions in there. Just see what in that list of questions somehow speaks to you, and reflect on it and write a bit about it, and then we'll share about it. So Cindy will let us know when 6 minutes is up. Okay, Cindy is going to place you in groups of 3. I think there will be one duo. And you're going to have 18 minutes, which would be 6 minutes apiece, to share whatever it is that you would like to share that's your response to any or all of those questions that you just reflected on. To share where you stand with the theme of purpose, what your sense of purpose is, what you're doing or might do to help deepen your sense of purpose, whatever you'd like to share in response to those questions. So Cindy, if you would please put us in groups and then let us know when 18 minutes is up.
Please accept invitations. Ron, you also need to accept invitations to the other room.
Oh, join breakout room? Okay.
You're muted, Ron.
There we go. Before we take a break, we've got a few minutes to hear what any of you might like to share that resulted from those discussions, or that stood out for you, or that just feels meaningful to share right now about purpose. So just raise your hand, and we got a few. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Sky.
It was a really interesting conversation with 2 very wise men, and I really appreciated the interactions a lot. And one of the things that I had said that I was struggling with was a lack of hope in humanity, that's one of the things holding me back from doing this new work that I'm very excited about. But I also feel a heaviness from this feeling of this lack of hope. And so Chris had given me this quote that I really liked it. It's from a very early Greek philosopher. And it said, he said, when you sweep in front of your own door, the world becomes a cleaner place. And I love that quote, and I'm gonna definitely put it on my altar to just remind me just to take care of my business and just to be the best I can be. And that will help my vision of the world hopefully to be better too. I mean, it's a little cliche, but it kind of really hit me deep.
When you sleep in front of your own door, the world becomes a cleaner place.
When you sweep in front of your own door, yes.
Thank you, Sky.
Yeah.
Anybody
Did
else?
you say sleep or sweep?
Sweep.
SW.
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said sleep.
No, hey, sorry, I have a thing in my mouth right now. I'm lisping from the tooth work. But when you sweep in front of your own door, the world becomes a clean place. Yes, that makes more sense, right?
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Yeah. Yeah, Jan.
Ron, I had actually a quick question to ask you is, in my life, when I'm really excited about what you talked about in terms of purpose, but it's sort of antithetical to the description of retirement in my peer groups and with a lot of people.
Oh,
and
sure.
so when people say, you know, you're done with that, you know, you had your career, it's time to relax and enjoy and blah, blah, blah. How do you deal with that sense that you know, that I'm the only one that's thinking about purpose in retirement?
Well, Jan, I would say that the whole concept of a conscious elderhood or conscious aging is not the mainstream. That is unfortunate because the mainstream offers us such a disempowering vision of aging. Like we retire and somehow our relevance to the larger community is over. Our time of contribution is over. It's just a time to be absorbed in our own life. That's a vision that so many of us, and I imagine all or most of us here in this group, do not resonate with anymore. We know that there is something special about our elder chapters in terms of our abilities to grow, our abilities to serve, our abilities to find fulfillment. And just because all those around us have bought into the pervasive ageist vision of what aging is, doesn't mean we have to. And I think it takes some real courage to own that that's not my vision. I want more for myself than that. And I'm going to do my best to live that and find others to have community with and support with who share an empowered vision for aging. But you're right, the vast majority of people do not share that vision, Jan. And so we got to find kindred spirits. Maybe it's one or two, maybe it's a larger group of people in our lives, kindred spirits who share this vision where we can support each other. Because without that, trying to do this in total isolation, I think it's almost impossible to age consciously, even to move through transition of any kind consciously. We need people who understand that and are supportive of it.
Ron, I'd like to pile onto that a little. I mean, I think that done well, this consciously aging is an energy sort of giving being state. And I think that being state will become both obvious to those around you, and I also think sends out an attraction signal that brings others to you that are of like mind. And I've been thinking about what Jan said because I have the same situation, and I think that that's going to be my resolution, that I'll look for kindred spirits, but I believe the energy by being conscious will attract others that choose to be conscious and may even convert some of your friends who are sick and tired of just playing bridge and having coffee.
Yeah, they may see a certain aliveness in you that they think, wow, you know, I'd like to have that aliveness in me too. No, you're right. It's very much a being state, but there are so many messages around us and so many energies in the world around us that want us to not be conscious, that try to numb us out, that it is really hard to cultivate that state of consciousness you're talking about without support of others, kindred spirits. And so that's the point I was trying to make there. Thank you for what you shared there, Ed.
Ron, may I speak briefly? Chris Davis.
Yeah, Chris, please.
So to the group, Ron told me about a book that's just been published, Ken Dykewall, What Retirees Want. And it was very helpful to me, Ron, to hear him break it down into 4 categories. Ageless explorers, 20%, and that's who we are in this group.
Mhm.
People that see opportunity, exploration, personal reorientation. We may take a step back, but we're not winding down. And then there's the folks that live for today, the 20%. And then those folks, the 20% that are confidently content with where they are and are not seeking to grow. And then 40% are worried strugglers. And so part of my interest in this course was I had thought everyone was like me, and I was disappointed that I had friends who do not understand my quest. So Ron does understand it, and it's the quest that we are all on in this group. And we need to understand that a full 20% are people just like us out there, and we can find those people to grow with and encourage each other. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Chris. That was beautifully spoken. It's time for us to take a break now, and then we're going to have some more time at the end of today, I think, and hope, just for general sharing of whatever needs to be shared before we say goodbye to each other. But let's take a 10-minute break now, okay? See you in 10. Anyway, got another hour here.
Ron, while we wait on everybody else, I must tell you that after I had pneumonia back in March, the words that came to me were purpose and intentionality, which led to me reconnecting with you. And so I really loved it when you spoke to that subject today. Thank you so much. You are clearly doing what you've been called to do. And there are so many of us that are benefiting from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. If this were an in-person retreat, I'd have to go and personally round up all the stray cats. It's hard herding cats, but as it is, all I could do is sit here and wait for them to come home. And there they come. Okay. I don't think we can talk about purpose without also talking about passion, because passion and purpose are inextricably woven together. If we're going to live purposefully, if we're going to thrive, if we're going to give our gifts to the world, we need strong life energy coursing through us. We can't be numb and unconscious and thrive. We can't be numb and unconscious and fully give what we have to give to the world. We need passion to empower our lives and our intentionality and our purpose and our resilience in the face of turmoil. And so we have a choice, and that's what I want as our last major theme for this course. That's what I want us to focus on. We have a choice as to whether we feed the life force in us, the life force that empowers our purpose, our intentions, or whether we feed inertia and numbness. So we can ask ourselves, do we feed the self in each of us that's committed to our growth as a conscious elder? Or do we feed the self that wants to remain unconscious, living on automatic? And like with any diet, perfection is not possible or needed, but attention and commitment are possible and needed. And so I've got some questions to ask you. And respond to these in your own mind as honestly as you can. Do you feed your body healthful, vitalizing foods most of the time? And how much of your diet is devitalizing junk food? Do you daily feed your mind uplifting food for the mind, like poetry and beautiful music and artwork, inspiring films, stories of people who are helping to heal the world? Or do you feed yourself an abundance of images that evoke fear and that are crass and mind-numbing? And I believe such images are addictive. And I believe that in a perverse way, that fear is addictive. That for a whole lot of people, feeling fear feels more alive than just feeling numb. And we often surround ourselves with stuff that evokes fear, so we feel some kind of a sense of aliveness. Why else would so many of us spend countless hours watching the same fear-inducing stories over and over on this news channel, then that news channel, then that news channel, then that news channel? Enough's enough. Another question. Do you feed yourself with the gift of silence to help you hear that voice of spirit within you? Or are you constantly feeding yourself noise of one kind or the other? Do you feed yourself with the energy and inspiration of people who uplift you and support you and bring out the best in you? Or do you have too many people in your life who are a drain on your energy and just a downer on your optimism? You can do something about that. Do you feed yourself the healing, soul-invoking energies of the natural world? Or is your life confined to environments that often drain your energy? And I can't say enough about how important those energies of the natural world are in helping to support our total well-being and our vision and our hope and our optimism. Do you feed your spirit with activities and practices that bring you alive and make your heart sing? Or do you spend much of your time engaging in activities that either numb you out or just give you superficial excitement, cheap thrills? Are you doing those kind of things in your life that make your heart sing and help you feel truly alive? Do you feed yourself joy and laughter? Or are you on a diet of somberness and struggle? The first images that we feed our minds each day have a big influence on how conscious we are that day. I want you to hear this. I encourage you to do what I've found invaluable. And that's each day before you check emails or texts or turn on your computer or turn on the TV or even eat, have one of the very first things you do, as I do, I go out on a small deck attached to our house and I spend a few minutes, sometimes only 2 or 3, sometimes 5 minutes, greeting the sun and giving thanks for a new day. And I spend that time in gratitude. I spend that time setting my intentions for the day, for how I want to live that day, how I want to be. I spend that reaffirming my commitment to living as best I can in trust rather than in fear. Then after I do that, on some days I move inside to my altar, and it's filled with sacred objects from retreats and inspirational poetry and with my intentions that I spoke of earlier written out. And I'll spend a few minutes recalling the deepest intentions for my life in general and thinking about these intentions that that came from deep within me, that I wrote out, that I'm committed to, thinking about them, how I might help to move forward with some of them in the next days or the next week. I'll think about how I want to live as consciously as possible in a sacred manner. And I'll tell you, that is the most important thing I do in my life, I believe, for helping to set the tone for a day, for helping me to set the tone for living consciously, for being truly alive, for not just getting caught up in habit, going on automatic, going numb. How we spend those first moments of the day is so important. And that's one reason for me personally, and we each do what we feel is right for us, but I do not awaken most days like I used to with my clock radio set to NPR. It does not serve me for the first images that I have in my mind and in my psyche that day to be images of the latest war, the latest ugliness, the latest pandemic numbers, the latest whatever. I'll listen to the news a little bit later on in the day and I'll be aware of those things. I'm not trying to live with my head buried in the sand, but I want the first images of my day to be life supporting, consciousness supporting images. And I encourage each of us to find a way to do that. And I encourage each of us, if we don't have some equivalent of it already, to create an altar. Or some people call it a shrine, or if you don't like those terms, call it whatever you want. But some place that is special that you set aside just to go and connect with what's most true for you, connect with spirit, connect with beauty, with your deepest aspirations. Having a place like that with special objects and poetry and photos and whatever is really, really important, I think. And then there's gratitude. And I know of no practice that better supports being conscious and feeling truly alive than gratitude. Because gratitude shifts us from our habitual reactions to what happens in our lives. It shifts us to conscious awareness of how blessed we are to have our lives with our joys and sorrows, our triumphs and our challenges. Gratitude gets the life force moving. Gratitude requires us to shift from seeing our lives through the eyes of our egos to seeing our lives as our soul sees them. A hero's journey where everything is a gift and a blessing with the ability to help us grow. And when I am deeply feeling gratitude, all the experiences of my life, including the sorrows, the difficulties, the challenges, somehow look different because I feel I'm connecting with the bigger flow of my life that has a meaning and has a purpose, and that meaning and purpose is growth. And I'd like to conclude this by sharing what I feel is probably the most important thing I've learned about this journey of growth. And that's that nothing sabotages our noblest intentions like critical self-judgment, the self-judgment that closes our hearts to ourselves and fills us with guilt and feelings of unworthiness. Guilt does not support living consciously. And telling ourselves how weak and unworthy we are whenever we go unconscious, and we will all oftentimes be unconscious. Telling ourselves how weak and unworthy we are when we go unconscious does not support us living consciously, does not support us living in wholeness. What does support this journey is acknowledging ourselves for choosing this path of growth and for the progress we are making. What supports this journey is committing to showering ourselves with love as we slowly but surely move forward. And it's so important to use our ability to connect with our inner knowing, and from that place it makes choices each day, one day at a time, to be as conscious and intentional as we can. Each day is a new day. If we've gone numb, if we feel our aliveness is gone, if we don't like the place that our head's at, that our psyche's at, remember that each day a new opportunity for a fresh start on our journey is available to us. Each day is a new opportunity to live consciously and to give our gifts and our aliveness to a world during a time when our gifts and our aliveness are urgently needed. So I would like you to take about 5 minutes now for a personal reflection. And the reflection is, what are one or two tangible new steps you're willing to commit to? Perhaps as a result of this course. What is one or two new steps you're willing to commit to help support your growth in this time of personal and collective passage? Are you willing to commit to anything now, and what is that? So take 5 minutes to reflect on that. Okay. As I think we all know, we can very much empower any commitment that we make by sharing that commitment with others and by having it be witnessed and affirmed by others. Somehow that gives a whole life to it that it doesn't have if that commitment is just something that's in our own head only or in our journal only. As I'm going to give us all an opportunity, if it feels right, if it's something you're willing to do and ready to do, to take 1 minute at the most to share any commitment you are willing to make at this point that will somehow support your growth as a conscious elder and your growth into being more fully able to make a contribution to this world in these critical times. And so what I'll do is I'll just start with, as I see you on my screen, beginning with John. And John, you can take up to a minute. By the way, if you don't feel it's right to make a commitment at this point, you're not ready, just say, you know, I pass or something like that. And, you know, we will honor that. So John, you're first.
All righty. First of all, 6 months ago, I wouldn't even have been able to comprehend the question. And that's because I've been doing some work the last couple of months. So I'm currently I'll make 2 commitments, 2 new steps that I'm taking to find my attitude, aptitude, and happiness. One is in the category of service to elders through a church group. It's called Stephen's Ministry. Home visits to people who are housebound, who need people to talk to. Second one is work on myself. I'm conducting a life review for almost a past year in search of my true real self, and finding the foundation that you stand on is really important if you want to stand tall. You don't want to topple over. So I'm going to affirm these and to the public and help solidify my commitment.
Thank you, John. I see myself, so I'll call on me. What I'm going to do is I am going to up the ante on something that I began a while back that has been important to me. I'm going to do more of it. And that is that every week I am contacting at least one person from my past. And in many cases, it's somebody from quite a ways in my past that I haven't had any contact with in a long time. And I'm contacting them just to see if we can set up a conversation, to see how they're doing, to catch up with each other, to share what's most important with each other at this point. And it gives me an opportunity to let them know that I really appreciate them for having been in my life and expressing my gratitude for them. I've done some of this so far. It's been an incredibly fulfilling thing. And I could think of a lot of other people that I really want to have this experience with. I think it's a gift to them and a gift to me. And so I'm really going to strengthen my resolve to do more of those kind of phone calls. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'm going to commit myself to finding a space. I'm living in this little studio, so I haven't been able to spread out. And I'm going to take all the meaningful courses and writings from Conscious Eldering, Next Step Retreat. I'm doing a memoir class. I'm doing a playlist legacy class or group, and finding the threads, bringing it all together and figuring out what really matters and how to move forward. Yeah.
May I ask, are you going to do this by somehow writing about the threads that link it all together, or how are you going to approach doing this?
Well, I'm doing one as a musical playlist thing and writing, yes, a little bit about that. The other is like, it's almost like a picture book I'm making of my life, and the
Uh-huh.
rest is writing. Yeah.
Oh, good. Sounds like a wonderful
mix-
project. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Brenda.
Thank you. Yeah, so one of the things you said, Ron, was about having people that you connect with. And when we were in our little groups before the break, I was sharing how I feel really constricted this year during the pandemic. I've had very clear purpose in the past, so I know what it's like to have purpose. And I have a website that describes my purpose. But I found, I guess I'm kind of giving into the forces of fear and constriction and pandemic and all of that. And so what I'm making a commitment to is approaching 2 people in my life that I connect with and to support each other in our growth. And I've got 2 people in mind right now. So that, because this is when I've been feeling isolated. And that's what one of the things I'm getting from today's session is to break out of feeling isolated, and that I need support. I need to give support, but I need support. So I'm going to approach 2 people, and I've written their names down here. So that feels like a really positive step forward.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Ed.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to share that I was sharing with my group that I had looked at the homework you had given us and took a long walk today, and somehow things started to fall in place of what was coming out of the neutral zone. And I'm very excited about that. And so I'm committing to a couple of things for my own growth and development. And one is committing to a conscious morning ritual, thinking about what you said. My mornings are sort of haphazard and usually drift into some sort of newsy Facebook sort of couple cups of coffee sort of thing. So I think that'll really help my development. And I'm going to memorialize my intentions. I'm going to reflect on them and see what happens, because that's been something that I've been not just resisting, but thinking wasn't a good idea. And so I'm going to kind of shift 180 degrees. While we were working today, the experience of today, I mean, all of a sudden there were all these intentions on the paper, and it was just a really big breakthrough for me. So I'm going to reflect on that and see where it takes me. Thanks.
I hope it takes you a long way, Ed. Thank you. Chris.
Ron, thank you so much. The beauty of having just been sick is it relieved me of a lot of responsibilities, which has been my problem. It is not being able to say no to a number of requests. And so what I wrote down when we started was that I would gain control of my calendar again and block off that time, and then honor the calendar, because those are decisions of intentionality and purpose and not add-ons. So thank you very much for that encouragement. And ironically, when I heard you talk about reaching out to folks, it's something that I've been thinking about for a long, long time. And because I literally know thousands of people, and I've lost touch with so many people over the years that have made a tremendous impact on my life. And I'd like to reach out. So thank you for that encouragement and that idea. I'm anxious to touch back in with you later on that one. Thanks much, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Sky.
Yeah. Well, so my steps is I want to start making an altar today. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I used to have an altar and I haven't had one in a long time. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to start journaling, focused on gratitude and also on my intentions. These are all things I've been playing with, but today I feel like I really want to commit to them and start a daily practice with them. The other things I want to start right now is I'm going to try your suggestion, Ron, on how you start your days. My days before I even get out of bed always start with NPR, and I'm an NPR junkie, and I really was relating to what you were saying about what I'm filling myself with and how that relates to my feeling of maybe a lack of hope for humanity, because I'm filling myself with so much of this. So I'm going to really work on shifting out of that and staying connected to the world, but a lot more distant from that. And starting my day with, I have an outdoor deck facing the ocean, and start my day with some quiet moments of reflection. So that's going to be a big change for me. And I think a good one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's what the one thing that's missing from my place is I don't have an ocean facing my deck, and I wish I did. Lucky you, Sky. Okay, Janine.
Sorry, I forgot to undo my mic. I want to commit to stopping kind of making excuses that are helping me to move forward. I just graduated, and I actually have a license, but I haven't done the things that I need to do for getting to be able to go into my private practice. And I really want to be able to, I have a lot of skills and to be able to help people and support people. So I really want to commit to doing the things that it is necessary to do that. So I'm going to fill out the applications that I need to qualify for for like insurance and stuff like that. So I don't get burned out, because I'm always, I really enjoy being able to support people and doing that. And so I'm going to commit to that, and to connecting with like-minded people, like through taking at least one more course like this, so that I can use those skills in becoming who I'm supposed to be.
Thank you, Janine. Rick.
I'm going to commit to something fairly radical for me. I struggled with this question for a few minutes, because maybe like many of you, maybe unlike many of you, I love to do something new. And I decided that I'm not going to do anything new. Not going to take any new step, because I have committed to a number of practices and things that I do to support my own growth and development that I think are super important. And I spend a lot of time over the course of, especially in the morning, but over the course of the day, to do those things. And one new thing is going to distract me and detract me from that. So I think it was really important for me to come to the conclusion that I don't need anything new right now. What I need is to continue concentrating and focusing. But it was a good question for me to ponder on for a little while.
And I honor that self-awareness, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evan.
Listening to your the list, Ron, it was helpful. I find I do a lot of those things already, but I've kind of gotten away from actually doing a kind of formal relaxation and breathing practice. So not meditating, because I've done that already, but more of a body scan relaxation. I find that's very connecting for me. And also, I'm really good about getting rid of things, but I have a lot of papers and files, paper files from other classes and bills and things that, I think it'd be good to get rid of, and feel a little bit more like moving on. So I think I'll do that. And also, you talked a lot about writing things down, and I don't do that very often as far as intentions and goals, and I usually just keep it in my head. So I think writing it down will be helpful for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Lori.
About 20 some years ago, I started a fitness program, and it was really successful. You know, I lost a lot of weight and I kept it off for a long, long time. But what I've noticed now with my over 60 body is that it really requires less food than my over 40 body did. And I've been fighting readjusting just because of basic laziness. But I feel that if I did recommit and kind of pull portions down and such, it would even help my digestion more. And I think it's something, I mean, I really know that I need to commit to that. So that's what I'm going to do.
Wish you well, Lori. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy.
I've been practicing meditation, so TM, on and off for many years, but I do it sort of sporadically. You're supposed to do it 20 minutes twice a day, and I don't do it that regularly. I also, so I would like to commit to a very regular meditation process, practice, because I'm very curious to see what comes out of that. I think that it would really inform my my growth and my sense of purpose. And I almost feel like the fact that I'm doing it sporadically is almost a way to avoid seeing what comes up. And I've recently added breath work to the mix. And again, I, do that a couple times a week, but not every day. And I'm just very curious to see what happens if I meditate and do breath work on a daily basis.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Roger. Can't hear you, Roger.
First, I want to thank you for your input, Ron. I found it very helpful. I think for me right now, at where I am, I think I need to spend more time in gratitude and more time in nature. And so I'm going to commit myself to doing both of those things on a conscious, regular basis.
You have a natural setting somewhere near you where you can go and be in nature?
Yes, we have a very, very well-defined park system. The dunes are very close. In northern Indiana, there are places where you can get out in nature and do that kind of thing.
Now, good. Well, thank you, Roger. And Jan. Jan.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
My list has been growing as I've listened to other people, but I'll do the top two here. So I'm going to do some sort of a transition ritual to close the chapter on my previous career and to release me to pursue new interests and passions. I will take heed of the things that you shared about. Was that the death ritual?
The Death Lodge is one meaningful
Death
ritual.
Lodge, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to do something like that to make that transition. And then the other thing I want to do is I started a self-authoring program, which is basically the telling your story of your life by epochs, I guess is the term. And I got a little into it and then it scared me and I left it. So I want to go back to it and finish that work.
Thank you, Jen. Deborah.
Thank you. So when I stopped working about 1.5 years ago, I decided I was going to take a gap year and not fill it too much.
Great idea.
But it was a great idea, but I didn't have, I kind of needed more structure about how to use it. So I'm learning. And I have a meditative practice that comes and goes and stuff, but committing to do is that every day, every morning, I will commit to a minimum of 15 minutes of meditation and stillness, followed by 10 minutes of reflection, writing, gratitude, and a journal.
That can be very meaningful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Steve.
Yeah. A few months before COVID started, I actually had put together a morning practice where I would start out imagining that there's a book of life of Steve Parker and that today was the day I got to write another page in it.
Wow.
And then try to be conscious about thinking what kind of a page I wanted to write. And then sadly, COVID hit and all of the political upheaval, and I've fallen exactly into the trap of picking up my electronic devices first, and my practice has gotten very sporadic. So my intention is to get back to doing the practice and not touch the electronics until I finish that. That was really powerful for me to hear that.
Thank you, Steve. Ed.
I already went.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Your picture moved around. Let's see.
Okay.
Jeannie.
When I think about this, I have a really strong morning routine that I've had for years, and it has really, really benefited me a lot. And I also have strong boundaries. And in thinking about what would benefit me most, I mean, it's so obvious because it's something that I've resisted, which is that time, that contemplative time, just to sit and be quiet and not look at this and journal and just kind of see what comes up. And it's kind of interesting to reflect, why am I so resistant to it? I don't know. That's an interesting question. Maybe I'll find out depending on what comes up. So I'm committing to sitting for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to start with twice a week. And one other thing that I'm committing to is more presence-based practices. Because again, not to belabor my grandson, but boy, there's nothing like being with a baby to make you really fully present if you allow it to. But I also have, and I'd like to show this to you. This is, see this tray on the floor?
Yeah.
So that is a boot tray with river rock. And I slide it under the dresser, and I haven't pulled it out in months. I got away from it, but it's a really good practice just to, on bare feet, walk on those river rocks. Just really taking your time for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, feeling what that does to your feet. It really grounds you in the present. It's really good for any foot issues. And it just kind of brings you into nature right in your home by connecting with those rocks. So I am committing to returning to that practice once a day.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take my candle in my hand, and knowing everything it represents for me, you might do the same for yourselves right now, if you have a candle there. Ask Spirit, ask the sacred, however you understand it, to support you, to support each of us in our commitment to growing into our best, in living out our commitments, in finding our purpose, in being true to our purpose, for the well-being of the greater good, and so that each of us may thrive and may grow and may be fulfilled. So time is running short, but we have a few moments, and this is an opportunity for anybody who has a comment or an observation or a final question or something to share. Just raise your hand if you do. Yes, Jen.
Ron, will we be able to keep the Facebook group going?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, and that's something I'm going to have to find out. I think it would be wonderful maybe to share more about our commitments, how we're doing, ask questions. I'll tell you, whenever I've looked at the Facebook group, it is just not being used. And I don't know if I am somehow missing something technologically or if it's just not being used, but there's still potential. And I will ask the people at Saging International if we can keep it going at least for a while. And I encourage you to use it because we have built some kind of a sense of community here. And given the importance of community and the fact that we witnessed each other's intentions here, some of our deepest sharings, it's an opportunity to give support to each other. So thank you for asking that. And we will email you and let you know about that. Okay. Yeah, Sky, do you have your hand up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, first, I just want to thank you so much, Ron. This class has meant a lot to me. I've taken so many Zoom classes over COVID, and this one has just resonated the deepest. And I also want to thank everyone in the group. It's been such a pleasure to share this time with all of you, and it's been such an interesting group of people. So thank you all. And Ron, my question is, will you be doing any other classes in the near future?
In the near future, I'm going to be offering this course again. I'm not sure what the details are, who the sponsor is going to be, but I'm going to be offering this course again. And I hope and pray that come autumn, we're able to offer some of our retreats again in person. And we've got the dates reserved for Choosing Conscious Elderhood at Ghost Ranch, New Mexico, where we've done almost 20 retreats over the years. We've got those dates reserved for sometime in early October. And we're going to have dates reserved sometime soon for a program that's focused very much, 5 days focused almost totally on purpose, intentionality, and passion. And it's going to be held, it's called Aiming High. And it's going to be held either in Northern California or in Southern Ohio, and I don't know the details yet.
And
Now,
you're not sure when that's going to happen, but sometime
next fall also, I hope and pray. And I would encourage you all, I think that most of you are on our email list. And I think that probably most of you got the latest edition of the newsletter that we put out about once every quarter. If you're on our email list, you did. Take a look, and if you don't see it in your inbox, look in your junk box, because oftentimes really good stuff shows up in people's junk mailbox. But if you visit our website, centerforconsciouseldering.com, you could find a lot of articles, a lot of clips from interviews, a lot of information of all kinds about conscious eldering and about moving through life transition. And if you don't think that you're on our email list, there are places, a lot of places on the website where you could sign up to be on our email list. So it's centerforconsciouseldering.com. And in that way, you'll be apprised through emails and through these newsletters when we have programs scheduled for next year, when they might be and what the details are. Okay.
Well, I'm interested in coming out to Ghost Ranch for a long time. And so I'm definitely now even more looking forward to it. Hopefully this fall we'll all be in another reality and that can come out.
I hope so. I hope so. And remember, be looking in your inbox tomorrow, because you're going to get all the poetry we've shared here and probably 10 or 15 more pieces of poetry that I think are really meaningful and inspiring. And I'll be sending all those to you tomorrow.
Ron, how long do we have access to being able to listen to the recordings of this session?
I'm not positive about the answer to that, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the people at Saging International if they can make that access permanent. So whenever you want to listen, you can. The one thing we ask is that you don't go sharing it with other people. In fairness to Saging International, and I mean, you could maybe share it with, if you've got a life partner or something, but don't go sharing it widely. Okay.
Okay.
but I hope it'll be available for a long time. Might be really nice to just periodically take a look at it again and remember.
Yeah, it was really interesting and I really appreciate it. So. would
Thank you,
love to-
Janine. Anything else?
Ron?
Yeah,
Roger. Rosie says the recordings would be available for about 2 weeks, but Cindy might have some more information on that.
Cindy, could we make them available for a longer period of time, maybe even indefinitely?
I think this, I need to check in with our education committee and to see what's the policy for this. And most of time we make our course recording available 2 weeks after the class. And so, you know, so I will have to refer that back to Rosemary and let her connect with you.
Okay, we'll let you all know about that. I want to tell you that this is the first, you know, I've been on a million Zoom calls as you all have and meetings and things. This is the first course that I have done using Zoom. I am pleasantly delighted that we could create a certain sense of community doing this that I kind of doubted was possible. And while my preference, and probably all of our preference, is to sit with people in circle, live and in person, I think this is really meaningful. And I feel like I've begun at least a little bit to get to know each of you. I appreciate your contributions. I appreciate your commitment. And I just want to thank each of you very, very much. So thank you. Got a closing poem, as you might imagine. Final words for the road. Who will it be? It is human nature to look for the path of least resistance through tough times. The resilient path calls us to one of generous love and kind-heartedness, of courage to stand up for needs of another. While many turn away from frightening truths guarding the edgy discomfort, we are named to recognize hardships that cannot be passively ignored in the symbiotic world. A connected reality longing for coherence. So who will it be who shelters in their arms, carries in their hearts, speaks out fervently for one neglected child, one abused woman, one immigrant man, one element of nature, even just one at a time? It must be you, it must be me, it must be us who have witnessed other fruitless ways, who are courageous, who will speak for truth emboldened, fearless with compassion crucial for these times. The path of a sage, the path of a wise elder, the path of growing toward wholeness is always possible. A conscious choice, a trustworthy way of affirming all life with heart-centered sagacity for nations, communities for our neighbors, families for you, and for me. Believe in your power. Our world longs to hear your voice rising in a mortal wilderness, rising from the core of human wisdom. Will you dare speak? Will you bravely shout? Will you author a new story? Come, elder voices together, we will transform the world. Come, elder voices together, our stories proclaimed in action. Hands open, voices strong for our generation and for 7 more to come. Blessings, blessings to each of you. And thank you, Cindy, for the fine job you did being the tech engineer for this course. Be well.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Be well and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Aloha.